Hello everyone, welcome to this episode of Connected Series, a venture by Friends Alumni Association of FCRIT Vashi. I'm Meenal Tiwari from Sem 6 of the EXC department, and today we have with us Ms. Ishita Srivastava. Welcome ma'am, it's great to have you here.
Hi Meenal, great to be here.
Thank you. Ms. Ishita Srivastava completed her Bachelors in Electronics and Telecommunication Engineering from FCRIT in the year 2011. And thereafter, she worked as a senior engineer of crane systems at Siemens for the next 4 years, where she was recognized for being the only female on-site cranes commissioning engineer at the annual industry conference in 2014. She was also nominated for Expert Career Path for fast track progress in the technical domain. She further went on to pursue her MBA from one of India's top business schools, ISB Hyderabad. Post-masters, she worked in companies like Schneider Electric as a manager of corporate strategy and in H&M as a regional business controller. Currently, she's working as a consumer strategy manager for the EMEA region in Nike. Apart from regular work, she has been actively involved in various social activities too. So I'll start with my first question. My first question for you is, could you describe your role as a consumer strategy manager for the EME region in Nike?
Sure. So the strategy team, consumer strategy team specifically at Nike, looks at what Nike wants to be in this geography 3 to 5 years down the line. So we try to shape that, and we try to figure out what are going to be the key trends in the coming years and how Nike can adapt to those and how we can be pioneers in the region for anything to do with. Other than that, we also look at specific business problems, which is a more short-term project work. Answering questions like where do we need to grow, why is a particular product line not growing, etc. So in a nutshell, that's my role.
So you have worked for many multinational companies and big brands. So what kind of preparation or skills are required to be associated with such brands like Schneider Electric, H&M and Nike? And I would also like to know what's the work culture at these places.
Sure. So for the first part of the question, which is how do you prepare for these companies? I think it's important to figure out and understand the role, like really understand it, not just reading the job description, but also reaching out to the hiring manager or HR to really understand what day-to-day work looks like. So one is understanding the role. The second, I would say, is knowing the manager, because your success would depend a lot on who you work with, and your manager plays a crucial role there. So I would definitely recommend, if possible, reaching out to the managers, be it on LinkedIn or wherever, and trying to understand from them what their expectations for the role is. Other than that, of course, you have certain criteria for each role, the hard skills, so to speak. So of course, having them already knowing what those are and being good at those is very. But this is outside of that. I think your role and manager are super important. The second part of the question, which is you asked about the work culture. So the work culture, in what I've realized over the years, is a combination of the work culture of the company and then also of the region that you work in. So when I worked in India in Schneider Electric, the work culture was more formal, more corporate. While in H&M, being a retail industry, the work culture was a little more laid back. And then the work culture at Nike here in Europe is completely different in the sense it's a lot more individual driven. So you're not really told what you have to do. You're given the independence to pick and choose what you want to work on and then run with it. So I think it's really a combination of geography that you're in and the company that you're in.
I would like to know what's the best part about working in Nike?
Lots of things, but if I had to pick one, I would say it's nice to be associated with a company that really takes a stand on social issues. So be it Black Lives Matter or LGBTQIA issues, Nike is a company that openly takes a stand on these matters. So that's something that I really appreciate.
You have done your MBA from ISB, which is one of India's top business schools. And so I would like to know how you prepared for it. What were some of the key points that students must keep in their mind while they're preparing for it, and how was your experience studying there?
All right, so the first part, which is the preparation, I think like most people, I studied for my GMAT along with my job. So that it's usually a 3 or 6 month preparation that you need for just the GMAT. But outside of the GMAT, you also have your work experience. So unlike some of the other MBA colleges, there's more emphasis in ISB on your work experience. And that's, just a question of then expressing it and conveying it in the right way in your acting. So first part, GMAT is more straightforward, but then your work experience and then everything that you do outside of work also. So there were some social causes I was associated with, which also added to my profile. So I would say it has to be a very balanced and wholesome kind of applications, and that's what colleges like ISB look for. In the second part of your question, where you ask about what it was like studying there, I think everyone will give you a little different answer. I think it's important to go into ISB with the clarity of knowing what exactly you want out of it. So if you want to do academics and you want to excel at academics, you need to go prepared with that mindset. And if you want to focus on networking and getting to know more people and discovering like new areas where you were not exposed completely, that is a different kind of mindset. So I think you need to go in with that clarity. I would say for myself, I didn't go in with that full clarity, so I didn't get the most out of it. But anyone who does can get a lot of experience.
So did you always have this in your mind that you want to do MBA after doing graduation? And then, I mean, did you have it clear that you want to do MBA or you wanted to do masters in the technical field itself? So did work experience help you understand, and how did work experience also help you in selecting a stream for MBA?
Yeah, it helped me a great deal because my initial plan was like a lot of engineering students to give my GRE and go abroad and pursue my technical studies. But once I joined a job, that completely changed my outlook. And I realized that I really want to, eventually do a master's in a more generic field, so be more of a generalist, so that it's easier for me to move across industries. So for me personally, I'm a curious person, and I really like to, move across roles and industries. It can be a good or bad thing. It's just a conscious choice that you make. So once I knew that, once I had that clarity, I knew that doing an MBA would be the right choice for me. So as a generalist, it worked out really.
Do you think coming from an engineering background has had a good influence in shaping your career? And if yes, how? Could you elaborate on that?
Sure. I think engineering has always been the basis of any career choice that I have made. It adds a lot to your profile for people to know that you have a technical background, because they know automatically that you'll be able to solve some basic logical problems. So having an engineering background helps, irrespective of whether you continue to be in the engineering field or not.
What are some of the challenges that you have faced in your career so far, and how did you overcome them?
Some of the challenges that I faced, I wouldn't say I have overcome them, but I'm still work in progress. But one challenge that I always have in my mind is, as I'm moving across roles and industries, I'm not moving on a straight, decided path. Like I said, I'm a curious person, so I like to move from role to role and industry to industry and discover new things. And I often question myself if I am, moving around too much, or if I'm, not going along a decided and a pre-decided goal and a pre-decided path. So that's something I'm still trying to overcome. But on a day-to-day basis, I'm really enjoying what I'm doing. So I guess I'm doing something right. So I don't think I've overcome that.
And lastly, I have this one last question for you. What are some of the practices that one must follow, or the habits one must adopt to stay updated and sustain what they have achieved in life? And what message would you like to give to the students of FCRIT?
I think what I've over the years realized is, for anything to succeed in anything, the one most important thing is consistency. So you just need to, whatever you're doing, if you want to get better at it, you just have to be consistent with it. So just keep doing it over and over again till you get good at it. For the message for students in FCRIT, and I wish that someone had told me this when I was there, that one, yes, academics is important, but at the same time, it's also super important to network and get to know people who are. So, for example, if you have a certain industry or a certain role which really fascinates you, you must take the initiative to reach out to people who are either pursuing that or are already in that role, and speak to them. Just try to understand what they do.
And with this, we come to the end of this interview.